Egypt is on everyone's bucket list, and for good reason. We just spent 30 days in Egypt and we pulled out all the stops.
Yeah, we spared no expense. We did the Red Sea resort areas. We did a 5-day Nile cruise. We did an epic pyramids experience, and we also stayed at like a legendary Egyptian hotel. And in this video, we're gonna break down what that 30 days in Egypt cost us.
Last video about Egypt here. We are currently in a new country, and throughout the filming of this particular video, we're going to show you a little bit of the backdrops of the new country that we're in.
Yeah, if you can guess the country that we're in by the backgrounds, drop a comment down below, but we will tell you at the end of the video. If you can guess the town that we're in, we will be shocked, and we'll give you a shout out in our first video from this town. If you watch this channel, you know that we usually travel pretty slowly. So our cost of living videos are usually one city for 1 month. But because Egypt would only give us a 30-day tourist visa, and there's so much to do and see in Egypt, we moved around a lot. So this cost of living video is a bit different from the usual.
Yeah, if you guys enjoy these cost of living videos, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps us out tremendously. Now let's jump into what was probably our biggest expense while we were there, our Nile Cruise. Usually in these cost of living videos, we like to break everything down in categories for you guys. Our Nile Cruise, however, was a little bit different because it included our accommodations, our dining, and our transportation getting from Luxor to Aswan. Our 5-day, 4-night cruise cost us $350 US per person, $700 in total.
On top of the $700 that we had to pay for the actual cruise itself, we had to pay for admission into the attractions that we visited along the way. So that included things like the Luxor Temple, the Karnak Temple, Kamambo, all the cool sites we saw. So the admissions cost for the both of us $210. On top of that, there were some additional extras on the boat, things like drinks and tips, and that cost us $200.
So all in, our Nile Cruise cost us $1,110. We would highly recommend doing a tour like this because trying to organize the logistics of getting to site on your own would be extremely problematic. Now, we also realize that with these types of tours, you could do a tour that's longer or shorter, more expensive or cheaper. This is just the one that we chose.
Our next category is accommodations. So when we first got to Egypt, we spent 19 days in the Red Sea resort town called Hurghada. We had an AirBnB, which was amazing, super comfortable, 1 bedroom. It had everything we needed. The host was fantastic. And that Airbnb for 19 days cost us $645.
So after our Nile Cruise, we stayed 1 night on Elephantine Island in Aswan at a cute little place called Kafana Guest House. That stay cost us $41. After that, we stayed 5 nights at the Marriott Mina House in Giza. The Marriott Mina House for 5 nights would cost you at a minimum $2,000 for the 5 nights. However, we stayed there for absolutely free, and you can check out that video right up here.
So while we stayed at the Mina House, which is probably one of the more expensive hotels in the Cairo area, we did see other pyramid view hotels that you could stay at for about $35 US. They won't be the Mina House though. So in total, our accommodations for our month in Egypt cost us $686.
Next up on the list is our activities. Our activities for this included all of the beach access that we did while we were in Hurghada, because we visited several beaches. It includes tips for the boat crew on the boat adventure that we did in Hurghada, which you can catch that video right here. We once again have to thank our Airbnb host Veronica for that. That was a gift, so we had no cost for that. This also includes all of the pyramid tours and our guide while we were in Cairo, and the total for that was $325.
The next category is our transportation. So miscellaneous Ubers and taxis, as well as the bus that we took from Hurghada to Luxor, cost us $65. We also did an overnight sleeper train from Aswan to Cairo on Watanya sleeping trains. You can check out that video up here. That cost us, for the both of us, $165. So the total for transportation was $230.
The next category up is our dining. Our totals for the dining for the month were $930. We loved the Egyptian food, and while we were there, we did an epic food tour while we were in Hurghada, which you can check out the video up here. And then a big majority of our expenses in dining came from the Marriott Mina House. And while we stayed at the Marriott Mina House for free, the dining was extremely expensive.
Next up is our groceries. During our 19 days in Hurghada, we did buy groceries and cook in the Airbnb quite a bit. So our total spend for groceries was $275.
So the last thing up is a couple of little miscellaneous items, such as our visas.
$50.
And our phone cards.
$30.
And our COVID test to leave the country.
$115. So that wraps up our expenses for the 30 days that we spent in Egypt. Before we move on to the totals, we kind of want to give you a little bit of an overview of some tips that we learned for traveling in Egypt. Tip number one is that Egypt is a tipping culture. So of course there's the people that you would usually expect to tip. The taxi drivers, the staff at the hotels, restaurant wait staff, etc. But with Egypt it's a little bit different. So for example, people we normally wouldn't expect to tip were telling us, yes, I take tips. So one odd example was the guy who loaded our luggage onto the belt to go through security at the airport requested a tip from us. So just know to keep some extra small bills in your pockets at all times so that you can tip properly.
Tip number two, we had read before going to Egypt that harassment of tourists is a major issue. We did witness that for some tourists at some of the major sites that we were at. However, we didn't have to deal with any of that because we hired tour guides everywhere we were and were relatively protected from it.
In Egypt, like anywhere where there are a lot of tourists, you're going to find some scammers who are trying to target those tourists. So like anywhere, just be careful of your surroundings and be wary of anyone who just approaches you out of the blue. One issue we did have is that 2 of our credit card numbers were skimmed. Fortunately, we keep a close eye on our bank accounts and we're able to sort that out with the card companies really quickly, but if you are using your credit or your debit card, keep a close eye on your accounts.
And finally, one other thing we read about was customs officers on arrival in Egypt, especially with camera gear. Thankfully for us, the only thing it cost us was a little time. We did get searched several times when we arrived in Egypt, and they tore our bags apart, but it only cost us time. Nothing was taken from us, nothing was confiscated, so it was all good.
The grand total for 30 epic days in Egypt was $3,751.
Yeah, a lot higher than we would normally spend for 1 month in any city that we travel to, but it was a total bucket list experience and we wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
And as promised, to let you know what we're up to next, this is Croatia.
Yeah, so be sure to check out our upcoming videos so you can see what we're getting up to here along the Adriatic coast.
Bye!